Amid growing concerns over another virus wave in the winter, the South Korean government is designating the next 4 weeks as a special period to encourage the public to get booster shots and bivalent vaccines. The Unification Ministry unveiled the official pamphlet for its so-called audacious initiative. The core pillars: reciprocal development of cross-border relations, building a peaceful foundation for unification, and zero tolerance for provocations. Indonesia is rattled by a 5.6 magnitude earthquake. At least 40 lives are lost and more than 700 people were reportedly injured. Hello, your week's off to a smooth start. I'm Daniel Che. Let's begin with our top story. For 4 weeks, South Koreans are urged to receive booster and retooled coronavirus vaccine shots. During that period, reservations won't be required and incentives will be provided to those getting inoculated. Kim Ji-yeon starts us off.
To encourage more people to receive booster and retooled vaccines, the South Korean government has designated the next 4 weeks, starting Monday until December 18th, as a special period providing incentives for those getting the shots. During the period, the government will be increasing state funding to support high-risk facilities like the elderly staying at senior care hospitals or nursing homes. Dr. Chung Gi-seok, former Korea Disease Control and Prevention Agency director and a civilian advisor to the Government Task Force Committee of Infectious Diseases, said Monday the advantages of administering the coronavirus vaccines outweigh the risks, as it lowers the chances of the virus advancing into critical illness and death.
Through vaccination, we hope this high-risk group can have increased immunity. Also, by taking COVID-19 medications, we are expecting to lower the daily coronavirus deaths by 30%, from current daily levels of 40 deaths to fewer than 10.
Those getting the booster vaccines can receive them at a local clinic without booking in advance. Some of the incentives for those getting the shots include a free entrance to state palaces and royal tombs, as well as receiving discounts for entertainment facilities such as temple stays. On Monday, the number of coronavirus cases fell to 23,091, nearly half of that recorded the day before. The number of daily coronavirus-related deaths stood at 35 after surpassing 30,000 deaths the day before. Kim Ji-yeon, Arirang News.
The Unification Ministry released an official pamphlet explaining President Yoon Suk-yeol's North Korea policy. Specifics are still in the works, but it's seen as another step towards bringing the regime back to denuclearization talks. Han Sung-woo outlines the details.
Reciprocal development of inter-Korean relations, building a peaceful foundation for unification, and absolutely no tolerance for military provocations. These are the 3 pillars of the Yoon Suk-yeol administration's North Korea policy, and on Monday, the Unification Ministry released an official pamphlet detailing just how these core principles will be carried out through Yoon's so-called audacious initiative. The measures to drastically improve the North's economy had previously been made public. Those initially involve a large-scale resources food exchange program and a livelihood improvement pilot project. Afterwards, should the regime make real steps toward denuclearization, there will be assistance with power generation, the modernization of the North's ports, airports, medical and agricultural infrastructure, and financial support. But newly revealed in Monday's pamphlet were political and military measures, separated into 3 phases to go along with those economic aspects, reaching a comprehensive agreement, defining denuclearization itself and its end state, supporting the normalization of relations between Pyongyang and Washington, establishing a so-called peace regime, and later securing a peace treaty after complete denuclearization, as well as actual arms control. In his opening remarks at a related seminar held the same day, Unification Minister Kwon Young-se summed up the plan with 2 key concepts: rebuilding trust and bipartisan cooperation within South Korea, backed by international solidarity.
The initiative will build an inter-Korean frame of trust and enable North Korea to realize for itself that abandoning its nuclear program and opening its doors to political, military, and economic cooperation is the best path it can take.
As keynote speaker, Principal Deputy National Security Advisor Kim Tae-hyo, meanwhile, stressed the need to keep deterring and dissuading Pyongyang until the regime returns to dialogue. Hours before, an official told reporters that the details of how the Yoon administration's audacious measures will be executed would be ironed out not only after dialogue with North Korea once it returns to the negotiating table, but also after talks with international stakeholders like the United States. The official clarified, however, that the various steps will proceed both simultaneously and gradually, without having denuclearization as a prerequisite for initiating the plan. 한성우, Arirang News.
Following North Korea's firing of an ICBM, the UNSC is meeting on Monday at the request of the U.S. North Korea's foreign minister responded by accusing the UN chief of lacking objectivity. Song Yoo-jin helps us read between the lines.
Following the United Nations Secretary General's condemnation of North Korea's firing of an intercontinental ballistic missile last Friday, the regime's foreign minister has hit back. In a statement carried by the state-run Korean Central News Agency on Monday, Choi Sun-hee expressed deep regret over UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres siding with the United States and failure to be impartial and objective. Choi said that the Secretary General calling Pyongyang's legitimate self-defense against Washington a provocation made her think of him as a member of the White House or its State Department. This comes after Guterres strongly condemned the North's most recent ICBM launch and urged the regime to immediately stop further provocations. But Choi's statement could also be interpreted as a show of discontent against the United Nations Security Council meeting on Monday. The meeting, requested by the U.S., is set to discuss North Korea following its series of missile launches this year. And the international community is seemingly holding high hopes that the meeting will be fruitful. For one, G7 foreign ministers have already stressed that the UNSC should take significant measures against Pyongyang's provocative actions through a joint statement on Sunday. They also urged all states to fully and effectively implement all UNSC measures and sanctions against the North. 송유진, Arirang News.
Kenyan President William Ruto is traveling to South Korea on Tuesday. According to Seoul's top office, the three-day trip is upon the invitation of President Yoon in what will be the first visit to Korea by a Kenyan leader in over 3 decades. A summit will be held on Wednesday. Discussions will focus on bilateral economic cooperation, people-to-people exchanges, and development cooperation. Back here in the nation, 3 opposition political parties submitted their plans for a parliamentary investigation into the Itaewon crowd crush. They hope to have it approved during Thursday's plenary session once the special committee in charge has been approved by the National Assembly Speaker. Then the 60-day probe can begin. The committee will consist of 9 lawmakers from the Democratic Party, 2 from 2 minor parties, and 7 from the ruling bloc. It aims to determine the cause of the incident and whether related government officials, including the offices of the President and the Prime Minister, took necessary measures. The People Power Party members have not been listed as part of the submitted plans, as the party has been against the idea of rushing the Parliament's own probe, claiming it would hinder the current investigation. PPP floor leader Choo Kyung-ho asked the DP counterpart to discuss delaying the probe until after the budget proposal deadline is over, which is slated for December 2nd. South Korea is likely to delay imposing a new capital gains tax scheduled to take effect next year. The ruling bloc is backing the government's plan. The main opposition, while claiming to be largely supportive of the idea, is attaching strings to it. Lee Kyung-eun has the latest.
Lawmakers got started reviewing the government's tax revisions on Monday. Under scrutiny is the government's push to delay imposing a new capital gains tax slated for next year for 2 years. Originally, all investors were to pay a 20% tax on annual capital gains exceeding 50 million won, or roughly $37,000. Those with 30 million won in gains, a rate of 25%. Currently, capital gains are levied only on investors who either own a stake of more than 1% in a single company or have total investments in securities worth more than $1 billion won, around $750,000. The ruling People Power Party is backing the government's proposed delay, while the main opposition Democratic Party has been opposing it because it will lead to lower tax revenues. But reversing its stance, it said it will support the delay in exchange for lowering the tax on securities transactions to 0.15% instead of the government's proposed 0.2%. Both the PPP and the government are against this idea. Finance Minister Choo Kyung-ho on Monday reaffirmed the government's opposition to it, saying that cutting the transaction tax will result in less tax revenue, the very concern the DP has been raising. The two parties will need to strike a compromise by the end of this month, along with other contentious tax-related bills, like cutting corporate taxes from the current 25% to 22% and easing excessive property holding taxes. Then the bills will be put for a vote on December 2nd, along with next year's budget. Young-eun, Arirang News.
The nation's exports are down so far for a second month in a row. According to the Korea Customs Service, exports in the first 20 days of November fell by around 17% on year to $33.2 billion. The drop was led by a decline in shipments of semiconductors, which dipped almost 30%. Exports of mobile devices were also down by 20%. As of this month, the nation has posted a record high trade deficit for the year of nearly $40 billion. Outbound shipments have increased so far by 8.4%, but imports have risen by a rate more than double that figure, mainly due to high energy costs. The South Korean economy has shown unprecedented growth using the 5-year development plan that's coming from the nation's finance chief during the 60th anniversary ceremony of the series of 7 5-year plans that began in 1962 to achieve self-reliant industrial growth. He emphasized South Korea has overcome economic difficulties such as oil shocks and the global financial crisis, but also mentioned that the domestic economy currently faces other challenges like supply chain issues and carbon neutralization. Choo Kyung-ho pledged to stabilize the economy by easing restrictions for the private sector and improving corporate income tax exemption systems. Saudi Arabia's megacity is a key part of the kingdom's Vision 2030 plan. It's also seen as a big opportunity for Seoul as billions of dollars are being invested in related work involving Korean firms. Jung gets us better acquainted with the Neom City project.
It's the stuff of science fiction: flying taxis, AI robots, holograms, and self-contained habitats. But the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, Mohammed bin Salman, plans to make it a reality with the futuristic urban project, Neom. The project spans an area 44 times the size of Seoul and 34 times that of New York City, mainly going 170 kilometers in one direction, a smart city called The Line. It also includes the world's largest floating structure, a high-tech industrial complex called Oxagon situated on the Red Sea, and a mountainous travel destination called Trojena. 5 years into Neom's development, the kingdom's $500 billion megacity project is also seen as a land of opportunity for South Korean companies.
These projects are unprecedented in scale and ambition, and they offer unlimited opportunities for investment.
Saudi Arabia is on course to invest some $30 billion in projects, including those related to Neom, with South Korean companies. On the occasion of last week's visit to Seoul by the Crown Prince, 26 memorandums of understanding were signed between Korean companies and the kingdom's government and businesses. This includes a deal worth nearly $2 billion with Hyundai Rotem to build a railway in Neom. While in Seoul, the Crown Prince also met with leaders of South Korea's major conglomerates, mainly discussing potential business partnerships for the Neom City project. Domestic conglomerates, including Samsung and Hyundai, jointly with SM Entertainment, are planning to establish a construction model to win related bids. The government is also providing active support by bolstering the South Korea-Saudi Vision 2030 Committee and is expecting there to be large-scale investment agreements as early as next month.
Orders for large projects, including those for the construction of Neom City, are being placed, so we will do our utmost to build strong fundamentals.
President Yoon said the Crown Prince's visit served as an important milestone in advancing the relationship between the two countries. He added close cooperation will continue for the kingdom to achieve its Saudi Vision 2030. 엄지영, Arirang News.
The less fortunate in the country appears to be bearing the brunt of skyrocketing prices, soaring interest rates, and a stronger U.S. dollar. Statistics Korea says the average monthly disposable income among the bottom 20% bracket fell 6.5% on year in Q3 to just over $800. The findings take into account consumer prices. In contrast, the monthly disposable income among those in the upper 20% rose 3.7% during the same period. Elsewhere around the world, a 5.6 magnitude earthquake hit Indonesia on Monday, killing at least 40 people. It was centered in Cianjur, a town in West Java province, and was also felt in Jakarta. A government official told local broadcaster Kompas TV that more than 700 people are injured. Shops, a hospital, and a boarding school have been severely damaged. Thousands of houses could have collapsed. The government warns the death toll could continue to rise as villagers may still be trapped. The country's weather and geophysics agency says there is no potential for a tsunami. Russia and Ukraine are blaming each other for shelling at Zaporizhzhia plant. According to the IAEA, more than a dozen explosions hit the nuclear power facility on Saturday and Sunday. Russia's defense ministry accused Ukraine of firing artillery, while Ukraine's top nuclear power company, Energoatom, said it was Moscow's military that blasted the site. The head of the IAEA warned that whoever was responsible was playing with fire and that the attacks must stop immediately. Shelling near the facility has sparked concerns of a potential nuclear accident. South Korea postponed a regularly scheduled aerial drills and decided to conduct an overall inspection of its fighter jets after one of them crashed. At about 8 p.m. on Sunday, a KF-16's engine failed while flying around 20 kilometers west of Wonju. The pilot managed to eject and escape safely. The plane sparked fire when it crashed, but the Air Force reported no civilian damage. They're still looking into the cause, and until that's verified, all types of military aircraft are grounded except surveillance and emergency assets. The Soaring Eagle exercise set to begin Monday is postponed until further notice. BTS won 2 top honors at the American Music Awards, Favorite Pop Duo or Group and Favorite K-Pop Artist. It's the 5th year in a row they've earned deserving recognition at the AMAs. Jung-Eun tells us more.
K-pop superstars BTS have won 2 awards at the 2022 American Music Awards, Favorite Pop Duo or Group and Favorite K-Pop Artist. It's the 5th year in a row the group has picked up AMAs. The winners were announced on the AMA official website ahead of the ceremony that was held in Los Angeles on Sunday local time. BTS made history by winning the Favorite Pop Duo or Group award for 4 straight years after first receiving it in 2019. This is a record for that category, which was first launched in 1974. This year, the band competed against other big-name nominees such as Coldplay, Imagine Dragons, and One Republic. BTS was also the first winner in the Favorite K-Pop Artist Award, a new category added to this year's AMAs. Groups such as Blackpink, 17, Tomorrow by Together, and Twice had been nominated as well. Last year, BTS rewrote K-pop history by becoming the first Asian act to win Artist of the Year, which is considered the top award at the AMAs. The boy band first won at the AMAs in 2018 when it took home the award for Favorite Social Artist. The group did not attend the ceremony this year, however, as its youngest member, Jungkook, performed at the opening ceremony of the 2022 World Cup in Qatar on Sunday. 정은주, Arirang News.
The 2022 World Cup kicked off with an opening ceremony and the tournament's first match. This is the first time the global soccer event is taking place in the Middle East. Team South Korea will begin their campaign by taking on Uruguay on Thursday. Kim Yo-sun has the full story.
K-pop sensation BTS member Jungkook took center stage for the opening ceremony of the FIFA World Cup in Qatar. During the ceremony, which began at 5:40 p.m. local time or 11:40 p.m. Sunday in South Korea, Jungkook was joined by many other musicians to deliver a message of inclusion and diversity. The 30-minute show also paid tribute to all 32 participating nations, former World Cup hosts, and volunteers. A day before the opening ceremony, Jungkook visited the base camp of the South Korean national soccer team and shared his support for the Taeguk Warriors.
I hope no one gets injured. My bandmates and I, along with all the Korean people, will be cheering you on to achieve what you've been longing for.
The opening ceremony set the stage for the opening game between the host country Qatar and Group A rivals Ecuador. Qatar was utterly outplayed by the South American country in a 2-0 loss, leaving them facing an uphill battle to make it out of their group in their first ever World Cup. With this, Qatar became the first host country in the competition's 92-year history to lose its opening game. South Korea opened their World Cup account on Thursday when they play Uruguay. Kim Hye-sun, Arirang News.
Staying with the World Cup, which will last for around 4 weeks, just as important as seeing a champion being crowned is watching what the host country has prepared for the opener. Ian Jin brings us the sights and sound from the venue and around the place.
The first FIFA World Cup to be held in winter and also the first in a Middle Eastern country, Qatar 2022 kicked off as local and international fans gathered on Sunday evening for the opening match and ceremony at Al Bayt Stadium. Leading up to the event, fans from around the world had made travel plans to be at the scene of the sport's most prestigious event. Though many fans were disappointed that alcoholic beverages would not be sold at Qatar's World Cup stadiums, this hasn't dampened their excitement for the month-long football extravaganza. Beer is being sold at ticketed perimeters surrounding each of the 8 stadiums, as well as at the FIFA Fan Festival Zone in Doha.
Everyone is waiting for this soccer festival in Qatar, be it citizens, residents, or those coming from the Gulf. Everyone is waiting for this festival, and the happiness will hopefully be complete with the national team winning.
But it's not just in Qatar. Football fans in neighboring Dubai gathered at its fan festival on an artificial island off the Marina district. This festival zone not only has an enormous screen to watch the World Cup games, but also offers live entertainment, games, and activities throughout the World Cup, with a musical talent lineup also scheduled.
So we wanted to come to Dubai to be part of the opening of the ceremonies of the FIFA's World Cup. We're so happy and thrilled to be here, part of the Asian and the Middle East celebration and all the mixtures of cultures. So we are I'm ecstatic to be here, and we're rooting for all the teams today.
Ian Jin, Arirang News.
According to the seasonal calendar, tomorrow is Soseol in South Korea. Soseol means little snow, and during this time of the year, the first snow is normally observed. But unlike what the name signifies, rain will be seen tomorrow instead. Showers will start from the east coast in the morning, and they will gradually spread nationwide by the afternoon. The coastlines of Gangwon-do and Gyeongsang-buk-do provinces will see the most amount of rainfall, with up to 60 millimeters in the forecast. Most inland regions, including the Seoul metropolitan area, will see about 5 millimeters. Western parts of the country will temporarily see poor air quality. Finest concentrations will be high for the Seoul metropolitan area, Chungcheong-do and Jeollabuk-do provinces for the morning. For tomorrow, Seoul will be starting off at 7 degrees, Jeju will be warm at 14 degrees, and daily highs in Seoul will get up to 14, Gwangju 17, Busan and Jeju will be quite warm at 19 degrees. This round of rainfall will last until Wednesday morning, and after the rain, a surge of cold air will filter in and morning lows will drop to 5 degrees on Thursday. That's all for now, and here are the weather conditions around the world.
And that's all from us. As always, thank you for watching.